Good morning and welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. I am Alice Aubrey from Democratic Services. The subcommittee today is made up of councillors Andrew Bolton, Andrew Sillett and Peter Hurlinger. The first item of business is the appointment of a chair for the meeting. May I ask subcommittee members to nominate a chair?
I'll nominate Councillor Bolton.
No, I just seconded.
Thank you. That's agreed. Councillor Bolton is in the chair. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you very much, Alice and councillors. Thank you. Good morning to everybody. Just a little bit of housekeeping to run through before we get to the hearing itself. But this meeting is being broadcast live and recorded and will be made available on the council's YouTube channel. The agenda is available on the council's website by following the links to your council and decision-making, consultations and surveys, and then committee agendas and minutes. The quorum for this meeting is 3 members, that's 3 councillors, and all will need to be present at all times. If any subcommittee member or the legal advisor lose connection, we'll pause to allow them to rejoin as soon as possible. To reduce feedback, could everyone mute their microphone while not speaking, please? After the subcommittee has heard the submission, I'll ask if members have any questions on the submission. Members can also indicate that they wish to speak by using the chat function, but please do not use the chat function to ask questions of officers or members, and remember that all meeting participants on video call will be able to see what has been entered into the chat. Please also keep mobile phones in silent mode or switched off during the meeting. So as you heard, I'm Councillor Andrew Bolton, and I'll now introduce the other participants in the meeting. We have Councillor Andrew Sillett. Hello.
Good morning.
Councillor Peter Hurlinger. Peter.
Also good morning.
We have Guy Bishop, the legal advisor. Hello.
Good morning.
He's waving. We have Binny Day, the licensing officer. Hello, Binny.
Good morning.
We have the applicant, Mr. Lohithan Selvaraj, and his agent, Mr. Suresh Kanapathy. Good morning, gentlemen. Hello, and we have one other person in the meeting who is Rathani Rasia. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hello, and of course we have Alice at Democratic Services. And just to read the apologies for the slight technical hitch at the beginning there. So does any member of the subcommittee, that's the 3 councillors, do we have a pecuniary interest, non-registrable interest or other registrable interest to declare in relation to either of the applications we'll be hearing today? And I don't.
No.
No.
Neither do I.
No. Okay, thank you. And can we confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of July 2024 as a correct record? I think we can.
Agreed.
Thank you. I'll sign those at a later date. Now, the parties have already been notified of the usual procedures for licensing hearings as set out on pages 3 to 5 of the agenda. Paragraph 57 on page 4 of the agenda pack deals with notification of the decision following the subcommittee's deliberations, and this will firstly be confirmed by email later today, and full details and reasons will follow within 5 working days. Are there any objections to proceeding on the basis of those procedures? I haven't had any. No, some shaking of heads. So we'll move on to the hearing, and Binny will mention this, but I'll mention it as well. It's concerning, of course, Thornhill Food and Wine, 202 Thornhill Road, Tolworth, and it's an application for a new premises license under the Licensing Act of 2003, Appendix A on page A1 of the agenda. So I'll now call on Binny Day, the licensing officer, to introduce the report on the application, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. This application for a new premises licence relates to Thornhill Food and Wine, 202 Thornhill Road, Tolworth, KT6 7TF. The application was made on 5th of June 2024 by Mr. Lohithan Salvaraja. The application seeks the grant of a new premises license to authorise off-sales of alcohol Mondays to Saturdays from 0700 to 2200 hours and Sundays from 0800 to 2200 hours. Relevant pages of the application form and a plan of the premises are attached at Annex 1. The proposed hours of operation are laid out in Annex 2. I confirm that the applicant has advertised the application by way of public notice displayed at the premises and in a local newspaper. The application has also been made available on the council's website. I confirm that all responsible authorities received a copy of the application. A representation was received from the Metropolitan Police in relation to the prevention of crime and disorder, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm licensing objectives. A representation was also received from the Council's Trading Standards Officer in relation to the protection of children from harm licensing objective. Following mediation, the applicant has addressed the concerns by making amendments to their operating schedule. These amendments are reflected in the conditions shown in Annex 3 of this report. In light of these amendments, the concerns raised by the Metropolitan Police and the Council's Trading Standards Officer have been satisfied, and their representations have been withdrawn. In accordance with the Council's licensing policy, 81 addresses were consulted in writing and informed that an application had been received. One valid representation was received from other persons. As part of this representation, there is an attached petition containing names, addresses, and emails of 26 individuals in support of the representation. The representations make reference to matters that relate to the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance licensing objectives. Copies of the representation are attached at Annex 4. A map showing the approximate location of the premises is attached at Annex 5, and some photographs of the premises and surrounding area are attached for your information at Annex 6. In considering this report, you are required to take into account the Secretary of State's guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003, the Council's Statement of Licensing Policy, and the licensing objectives. The Council's Statement of Licensing Policy includes a guideline on trading hours, and these guideline hours are shown in the tables contained within Annex 7. You are asked to determine the application, having regard to the representations received and any evidence heard at the hearing, in line with the options set out in paragraph 14 of this report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vinny. Councillors, do you have any questions for Vinny?
No, thank you.
Don't think so, no, and I don't either, so thank you very much. So we now move on to the applicant's submission, and I now call on the applicant's team, that's Mr. Salvaraja, the applicant, and Mr. Kalapathy, the agent, to give a summary of the application. I'm not sure which of you gentlemen will be wanting to speak, or both, but paragraph 47 on page 3 of the agenda pack deals with the length of time an applicant can speak, and you as a team have up to 5 minutes to present your submission to us. And Alice will advise you when a minute left when your time is up. So over to you, gentlemen, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. I think we heard about this application very clearly from the licensing officer. Chair, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background for this particular premises. This has always been licensed in the past, but in the last few years, it's not been. I think the applicant has taken over the premises in 2021, but he didn't do anything about it for various reasons. But now here we are. He wanted to start this business and to restart, obviously, the premises. And as a local retail store, convenience store, whatever you call it, and also alcohol is part of the product being offered to the local residents, and also this particular premises is becoming alive, is a positive things rather than it's been closed up, so it's gonna keep a little bit active for the area. Yeah, where we are here today because one of the objections here from residents, and I've been reading the objection, Chair. I think it says mostly about prevention of crime and disorder and prevention of public nuisance. Chair, and also I can understand there are a few signatures has been taken up. But it seems to me it says red line road local community, but doesn't seems to be, since it's saying I'm writing this letter, like I'm writing to register our objections. But in any case, Chair, what we are looking at here today, promoting the licensing objectives, but what we are looking at, also as far as the objections concerned, 2 licensing objectives mentions, prevention of crime and disorder and prevention of public nuisance, and talking about antisocial behavior. One of the things I would like you to look at, this application is really made very responsibly, because the hours are very fair, like 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's not like at 11, 12, even midnight. So now, and that itself is promoting the licensing objectives. And also, Chair, the applicant has been working with the authorities together, and we have freed a number of conditions on page 30, where you can see that. And it promotes the licensing objectives of prevention of crime and disorder, and there are about 10 conditions, Chair, or even more, 12, I would say. And then in terms of prevention of public nuisance also, it had a number of conditions to address that. And I think there were a few notices that need to be displayed considering the local residents and like that. So, Chair, I think I can't see any reason why this application shouldn't be considered, or should be considered, favorably. And in effect, promoting the 4 licensing objectives, it's got really robust conditions, and the authorities are not here. And so considering that, having those conditions, Chair, and considering the hours as well, we would like to invite you to look at this application and grant. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kanapathy. Councillors, do you have any questions for the applicant's agent?
I do, please.
Yeah, thank you, Peter.
So on the application, on point M, when you were asked about how you're going to protect children from harm, you've mentioned that after 8 p.m. children will not be allowed into the shop. Can I confirm whether when you talk about children, you're talking about an age of 16 or whether you're talking about an age of 18?
Thank you for really asking that question. Let me tell you, initially when the application was made by the applicant, he put those things for whatever the reason is, but now everything is replaced. Those are being superseded by conditions on page number 30. So that's not the case, and now the conditions have been agreed, which is really relevant and appropriate and fair for these premises to promote the 4 licensing objectives.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. I don't have any questions, so thank you very much, Mr. Kanapathy.
Thank you.
We'll move on now. And as set out in the report, that all responsible authorities received a copy of the application. The representation was received from the Metropolitan Police in relation to the prevention of crime and disorder, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm licensing objectives. A representation was also received from the Council's Trading Standards Officer in relation to the protection of children from harm licensing objective. Following mediation, the applicant has addressed the concerns by making amendments to their operating schedule. These amendments are reflected in the conditions shown in Annex 3 of the report, and in light of these amendments, the concerns raised by the police and by the Council's Trading Standards Officer have been satisfied, and the representations have been withdrawn. Now, the licensing officer Billy has in fact covered some of what I'm about to say next, but as also set out in the report, in accordance with the Council's licensing policy, 81 addresses were consulted in writing and informed that an application had been received. One valid representation was received from what we term other persons. As part of this representation, there is an attached petition containing names, addresses, and emails of 26 individuals in support of the representation. The representations make reference to matters that relate to the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance licensing objectives. And copies of the representations are attached to the other persons have up to 5 minutes to speak. So I will now call on Ms. Rathani Rasia to present the submission, please. That's up to 5 minutes, please. And again, Alice will let you know when you have a minute left and when your time is up. Thank you very much.
Sure. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for your time. Thank you, Chair. So we as a community, we are objecting the premises license. Our areas already have too many places selling alcohol in the night time, and every new one adds to a disturbance in the street and antisocial behavior. As a resident, we are often disturbed in the late night passerby who are noisy and disrespectful of the neighborhood. Such development of alcohol sale is likely to lead to further disruption on the street environment and to our right for peaceful existence. We also have an issue with the amount of litter in our area. Beer cans, food wrappers, dumps on the street on the daily basis. These include parents walking, navigating broken glass from alcohol consumption on the street on the morning run. We have secondary and primary school kids walking on the street in the morning. Why do they need to feel vulnerable or uncomfortable with antisocial behavior, such as noise, shouting, fighting, aggressive behavior, litter issues just before going to school? Also, to put this application into context, there are already 2 similar style existing premises that are in the immediate vicinity of the premises, 75 meters. There's already 2 similar shops. They are open from 7 to 10, Monday to Saturday, and have alcohol license from 8 AM on the weekdays. Why our neighborhood need an additional alcohol premises? What do you offer extra to the community? Those are the questions from the local rail lines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillors, do you have any questions for Ms. Rathani?
I don't.
Councillor Sillett, please.
Good morning. I'm really sorry that you've been having problems in the street. Obviously, we're concerning ourselves with this licensed premises. Have you got any indication that the other licensed premises are causing this problem? Because you mentioned there's late night problems, and this is going to shut after 10 o'clock. I don't know what you call late night. I go to bed quite early, but I don't know if you mean after midnight or people coming home from clubs. And then you mentioned people going to school in the morning. I presume that's nothing to do with the off licenses in the area.
No, the thing is, what I was trying to say is because you want to have the off license from 7 AM in the morning. So you're going to have people buying alcohol or standing outside shops or littering around this shop early in the morning. So we already have issue with litter all around the area. Most of the street is filled with litter, even though we have bins around. It has a bin just around because his shop is situated close to a bus stand. There is a bin close to the bus stand which is filled, and there is litter everywhere on the side of the road every day of the day, every time of the days. We've got children walking around, and we're going to have all of these people. We already have the high street. So just to put the place into context, we already have the high street full of license, and then we come into Red Lion. There's already 2 shops, 2 premises who have alcohol license from 8 AM, and then he wants to sell alcohol from 7. So I don't want people, the kids walking to school feeling vulnerable or uncomfortable because you've got people shopping or passerby and just sitting outside just waiting for the shop to open at 7 to be able to buy alcohol. And when you say about 10 o'clock, yes, 10 o'clock, but you should see the amount of car revving in the night. Usually, we are in a closed neighborhood area with lots of kids around that area, and you've got lots of cars, the way they park as well. I know that I'm not allowed to talk about parking because it's all up to the customers who's going to buy, but you've got so many cars who actually park on people's drive to be able to shop into those premises. So how is it fair on the community, on the neighbors, we've got people in the morning or car are parked in front of the drive, so they can't take the car out to go to work or thing like that, because he's licensed. I mean, his premises doesn't have any sort of car park. He's on a corner between a bus stand and the next road. So there's no car park. And then, they have to block the resident, drives to be able to shop to his premises. That's also an issue. But apparently I was said that I couldn't mention this issue because that's all about, it all depends on the people buying. So I couldn't, but I would like to mention that as well. So on the daily basis, even though we've got white lines, we've got, we start having yellow lines since 2 years ago, to be able to, to be able to not have people parking on those areas, but we still have all of those issues going on in our neighborhood on the daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sillis, would you like to ask anything else?
No, thank you.
No, I don't have any questions either, but I see Guy Bishop, the legal officer, has put his hand up. You're on mute, Guy. Yeah.
Apologies. I just thought I'd sort of mention that obviously the guidance is pretty clear on looking at other premises and whether there's a need for a new premises to be granted a license. That is not something you as a licensing subcommittee are allowed or permitted to consider. The second thing to mention, of course, is that planning matters, which of course parking would be part of, are matters again outside the purview of this licensing subcommittee. You have to consider promoting the licensing objectives, and that is what you're there for. You also will be aware that there's a difficult nexus between somebody parking and whether the premises is causing that problem or that sort of thing. The other thing here is that you've heard about issues of cars revving and noise and associated ASB, but that's not necessarily connected to the premises, and that is again a matter for you to consider and make it when you make your decision. But I thought I'd mention those things to you as a committee so you're aware.
Yes, thank you very much, Guy. I don't think the two other councillors have any further questions. I don't have a question for you, Rathani, but you're very welcome now to sum up the gist of your argument. There's no particular time limit on this, and I know you've just spoken anyway at some length, but if you'd like to address the committee again, please do feel free.
Sure, thank you.
If you would like to say anything else, that now would be the time to do that.
No, that's all. Thank you.
You're all right. Thank you very much indeed for coming. And this is the point in the meeting where we ask the applicant to make a closing statement. So it's back to Mr. Kanapathy. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So we said everything that needed to be said, Chair, but what I can add, so what we heard so far, I don't find any reason why this premises cannot sell alcohol while it is open between that time it's been applied. Thanks so much.
Thank you both very much indeed. So the subcommittee, having heard the evidence, will now withdraw to make its decision, and the decision, as I said before, will be confirmed to all parties by email, and the full decision with the reasons will then be sent to all parties within 5 working days. So thank you all very much for attending, and please can members of the subcommittee reconvene in the decision-making online room at, well, straight away, I would suggest, please. Thank you all very much for attending this morning. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.